Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I owe him nothing and throwing his words back at him during an argument? The gist is this. I lost my mom to a long-term health issue when I was 10. The cost of treatment drained my parents' finances, and it was just dad and me after mom died. No extended family. Dad started dating when I was 12 and he met Jane. And after a few months, he told me her son had a form of brain cancer and was very sick, and that they were getting married and he would be helping to take care of her son. We went from 2 in a tiny 2-bedroom house to 4 in a tiny 2-bedroom house, and me sharing with a terminally ill toddler I didn't know. We had to make so many changes. No more takeout, which was a once-a-month treat before that. I had to stop my only extracurricular activity. No friends over because noise bothered him. No space that was just mine. Had no extra money for celebrating birthdays and Christmas. When I was 15, Dad and I got into a huge argument because I was never home and was always saying no to helping Jane take care of her son. When I told him how much I hated the situation, he looked me in the eye and told me to grow up. He also told me that I was old enough to understand that life wasn't always easy or fun, and that a rougher life can build character. He told me we grew our family, which was a good thing, and one of the consequences of that sometimes is having less, but that it was worth it for the extra love. I told him it was BS. He told me I was not his whole life, and he was not going to stop doing what he wanted to do because of me. Then he told me to never ever say anything negative around his stepson because he was a kid and didn't need to know I resented him for being sick. After that talk, I was even more distant and left before I turned 18 right after graduation, couch surfed until I went to college, and I didn't stay in touch. When I was 19, I heard that Dad's stepson had died. In college, I met my wife and we got married this past June. Then in November, my dad showed up and told me he wanted to talk, but I shut the door in his face. He kept showing up where I was to talk, and after getting annoyed with him, I agreed to meet him for coffee. He told me how he'd ended up divorced from Jane, and how his stepson had died, and he looked disappointed when he learned I knew. Then he told me how he'd been struggling a lot and how he was hoping I could help him out. I laughed in his face and told him he had some nerve. He mentioned how he'd spent a lot of money on finding me and he wanted us to repair things, but he also needed my help. I told him no way. He became angry and told me he was my dad and was always there for me and I owed him. I told him I owed him nothing, and I threw most of his words back in his face, including that he needed to grow up and that he was not my whole life and would not stop me from doing what I want. It became a bit of a scene, then told me at my age I should have grown more compassion. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your dad sacrificed you so that he could bang. And as things turned out, the family he created wasn't all that real after all. He was just a patsy to help take care of a sick kid. You owe him nothing. Wife probably left as soon as her son was buried. That prospect sounds so real that I stopped. I'm a mom, and if one of my kids died, I wouldn't want to stay married or be able to even look at someone who just threw their child away, when I did everything I could to keep mine alive. Once the haze of it was over, Opie's dad probably disgusted her. It doesn't sound like she was too worried about him throwing his kid away when hers was sick. Not the a-hole. Your dad quite literally showed up after he had nothing left but you. That's a huge red flag, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. My dad is just like this. He left when my mom died at 17 and slept around with other women while she was in the hospital. Then he wasted all her life insurance money in a Rolex, and he's been trying to contact me for years. Last year, I finally agreed to meet with him against my better judgment. And the second thing he said to me after saying I've gotten pretty was that he needed help paying off his car. I immediately stood up and left. Huge not the a-hole OP. You owe him nothing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my daughter her education fund money? I, 54 male, have 2 children, 23 female and 21 male, with my wife, 52 female. When the kids were young, my parents set up education funds for both of them, which was very generous of them. My wife and I always expected our kids to attend college and then graduate school, as we have done. I have a PhD, my wife has a master's. Because of this, we decided not to use the funds for our kids' undergrad degrees and did not tell them about the money. My daughter has always been more into the liberal arts, while my son is more of a STEM guy. My wife and I worried about her ability to find a job, but she insisted on studying music and film in college. She was accepted to some top schools and chose to attend a rather expensive one, but she had scholarships to cover almost all of her tuition. Everything else, plus living expenses, was her responsibility. She lived in a very small apartment shared with friends in a not-so-nice area far from campus, but she was fine and learned how to budget effectively. After graduating, she luckily found a job that doesn't pay extremely well, but she enjoys, and scrapped the idea of grad school. My son decided to do engineering, and he also expressed that he had no interest in grad school. My wife and I were disappointed but accepted it since at this point, he is already all set up with a very good job when he completes school. Since he did not receive as many scholarships as his sister, we decided to use his education fund to cover his tuition and living expenses. He was able to get a large and nice apartment of his own close to the school, which is important since his classes are so demanding and he needs a comfortable space to work. My daughter was confused and asked how he could afford this, and he told her about the education fund. She called us and asked why she didn't have one, and we told her she did. We just didn't use it because we hoped she would attend grad school. She seemed hurt by this and asked if there was any way she could have the money now. We explained that there would be a fee to simply withdraw the money for non-education uses, and if we chose to do that, it would belong to her grandparents, so they could put it towards their own use. She's been quiet and short when answering our texts and hasn't answered our calls at all since then. I know that it seems unfair to her, but it's not really her money in the first place, and she's no longer in college. Plus, her brother only received it for educational purposes and it wouldn't be right for her to just have it to spend now. Am I the a-hole? So let me get this right. Your daughter attended college and had a scholarship. Your son attended college with no scholarship. You chose not to let your daughter use her college fund for everything that her scholarship didn't cover, and you let your son use his for everything. The college fund you said wasn't even her money, but isn't yours either. What exactly do you plan to do with her college money? You're the a-hole for this. Not to mention a college fund her grandparents set for her. He's basically stealing her money. Major you're the a-hole. You're the a-hole, and I'm surprised between your PhD and master's degrees you couldn't figure that out. Two highly educated fools. Education does not equate intelligence or self-awareness. You're the a-hole. Oh dear, just goes to show you that having PhD and a master's does not neither make you a good parent nor smart in any way. Also, graduate degrees are cheaper, especially PhDs. Most doctoral programs pay you to be there. This was all around really dumb, and you're the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for backing up my brother in saying our step-sibling's mom and siblings shouldn't be invited to his birthday party while our step-siblings were there? My brother will be 14 in March, and my mom wanted to throw him a bigger than normal birthday party to make up for not having any celebration with others outside a household since 2019. My brother was really excited and asked if our grandparents, our aunts, and cousins could be there. And mom said it was just for her side, and that our grandparents would probably do their own thing with him. He asked if our stepdad's ex-wife and her kids, 2 from before her time with our stepdad and 3 came after, would be there. And she said of course, because they're family, and they're our step-siblings' bio-siblings. He said that wasn't fair, because they aren't his family, and why are we trying to include them? My mom said they are family, and we all want to get along and make sure everyone is treated just like family should. My stepdad said it would mean a lot to his kids, our step-siblings, who are 10 and 8. But my brother said if his family couldn't be there, then the step-siblings didn't get to have their family at his birthday party. I said I agreed, and I told them I wouldn't want them at mine either because they are not family to us. Our step-siblings were there and got upset, and asked why their mom and siblings couldn't be there. Our mom and stepdad assured them they would be there, but my brother said it wasn't fair, and said he didn't want them there and didn't care about them. Mom was furious and yelled at him, and I told her she couldn't expect him to want them there, or to have strangers there just for our step-siblings, when she literally just said we couldn't have our family there because it was just for her side. Mom was angry at me, told me I'm the oldest and should be responsible and not encourage him. She said blended family should be about inclusion and welcoming everyone in. I told her that she was going against what she said by excluding our dad's family. She told me that's different because they are no longer anything to do with her. I told her that didn't mean they weren't something to do with us, and that dad's death did not erase the loving grandparents and aunts we had on his side. She told me I was being unfair and should not have agreed in front of my step-siblings, because now they're upset and don't understand why we don't like their family. Am I the a-hole? The people my brother does not want at his party are not our step-siblings, but their mom and their siblings from their mom. They're not related to us. is their dad who is married to our mom, and his ex-wife and her other children from different men have nothing to do with my brother. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are absolutely right. And it's good you stood up for your brother. The wrong thing here is that your mother is limiting this to her side of the family, completely excluding your deceased father's side. She isn't even considering inviting your grandparents, aunts, cousins, etc., despite the fact that you and your brother love them and would like them to be there. Let's keep in mind that a party is supposed to be for your brother. The other weird thing is for your mother to be so fond of her husband's ex's children, who aren't even his kids. I hope I didn't get this wrong. Your stepdad has some kids from a previous marriage, your step-siblings. Your stepdad's ex got remarried and had additional children. Those children have an active father in their life, right? Why is your mother so desperate to include some other family's children? Why does she want to include the ex-wife of her husband to her child's 14th birthday? That's far-fetched. She needs to decide if the party is small, just a few close family members, or if this is a huge party with just about everyone, in which case your father's side should also be invited. You got it mostly right. Stepdad's ex had 2 kids when they met, 2 with him and then 3 after they divorced. Those 5 kids are not my stepdads, are apparently invited along with their mom/stepdad's ex. I know my stepdad and mom get along with his ex okay, but she and her kids are really not people my brother and I consider part of the family at all. Not the whole. Your mom is applying rules based on what she is related to, not based on who the honoree, your brother, is related to. It sounds like there was a blended family due to death, not abuse or neglect or anything, so it seems weird for her to exclude half your family. And she is not even related to them. It is her stepchildren's mother's family. She is honestly just bending backwards to please her husband, which is just ridiculous. Her child's birthday party should have their family. It's more likely she just hates her old in-laws and doesn't want to be around them. She tried disguising this with the "my family only" excuse, but shot herself in the foot by then inviting people who are clearly not her family. She is being an idiot for making dumb excuses. I have no idea whether her dislike for the old in-laws is justified or not, but it would have been better to be upfront. I don't think it's fair to blame her new husband for this situation. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not moving my wedding date? My fiancé and I recently got engaged, and when looking at dates, we realized our anniversary falls on a Saturday this year. Perfect, right? We immediately start planning because it's approximately 9 months out and we have to move quick to pull a wedding together. We told everyone the potential date this weekend and all seemed well. Monday, I get a phone call from my father. He insists that I move the date because my mother has a yoga retreat that weekend. I tell him that this date means a lot to me and I would prefer to keep it if there was any way to move the retreat. There is, but it's expensive. I offer to pay for this change out of my wedding budget, essentially having the amount that I can spend on the most important event of my life. Yesterday, I was told that they would not be taking my offer to pay to move the retreat, and that we're expected to move the wedding instead. I haven't put money on my venue yet, so they think I should be fine with giving up the chance to marry on a date that means a lot to me. It became a massive fight, and now my parents and I aren't speaking. My father accused me of caring about a date more than I care about my mother. I told him that it felt as though they were choosing yoga over their own daughter. Your parents are prioritizing a yoga retreat over your wedding? I told him that it felt as though they were choosing yoga over their own daughter. They 100% are. Have the wedding without them. Not the whole. And I would be petty and put on the photos why they weren't at the wedding. Opie's parents suck. Not the whole. Not the whole. First of all, congratulations on your upcoming wedding. However, I'm sorry to say your parents have made it perfectly clear where on their priority list you, their child, is. It is apparently below yoga. And you are right, she is choosing yoga over you. A yoga retreat is something that can be done anytime. Your wedding will only happen once. Don't let your father say you don't care about your mother. He is gaslighting you. Also, has Opie actually talked to the mother about this? Seems like Dad is passing messages back and forth. Is Daddy-O playing the old triangulation game? Not the a-hole. Your parents are being absurdly self-centered. The polite thing for them to do would be to reschedule or cancel the retreat without ever telling you, so as not to impinge on your wedding planning excitement. Just to make sure, because this is honestly so over the top it's baffling to me, is your mom attending the retreat or is she leading it? Attending. They have this retreat yearly, and there is also makeup dates for the classes she would miss. Wow, they want you to move your wedding for something she goes to on a regular basis? You are even more not the a-hole than I thought before. There is no reason that she can't skip something that happens yearly for a unique event. Like someone else said, they shouldn't have even mentioned it to you. Update. Me, 22 female with my boyfriend, 24 male of 3 years. He found out that his ex is engaged and literally won't stop crying. Original post. I met my boyfriend 3 years ago through some mutual friends. He was pretty guarded, and I was the one who pursued him. We were long distance until I moved in with him last year. My boyfriend has only had one other relationship and a hookup before me. He stopped talking to the hookup a long time ago because she was crazy, but he kept in touch with his ex until she cut contact with him around 2 years ago. They dated when he was 15 and it lasted for about 2 years. Then she dumped him because he had no self-respect. Apparently, she's the reason why my boyfriend is so guarded now. I'll admit that I was really jealous of her and was glad when she cut contact, because she's beautiful and my boyfriend talked about her as if she had all of life's answers. This past January, I woke up in the middle of the night and heard my boyfriend quietly crying. I could tell he was looking at his phone and I wasn't sure whether to say anything or give him privacy. After a while, he got up to go to the bathroom, so I took a peek at his phone. He was on Facebook, looking at his ex's profile. She had gotten engaged and there were pictures of the ring and everything. It's been 2 months now, and my boyfriend has been breaking down out of nowhere. I keep asking him to talk to me about it, but he won't. I told him to talk to a therapist, and he got really insulted and said he doesn't believe in therapy. I'm unsure of what to do since this happens at least twice a week. I love him, but he's always seemed a bit distant to me, and obviously, this woman is the reason why. Should I contact her and ask if she has any insight? I'm starting to think she must have said something to upset him like this because he didn't seem that bothered when she was dating other people. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. No, don't contact her. Her job is finished. If her ex still has problems with their relationship, that's his issue. Now you, Missy, do not play Miss Fix-It here. You can't fix the fact that your boyfriend is actually still in love with another woman. You can be the most perfect woman on earth, but while he still has her as his dream woman, you don't have a shot. Honestly, and as hard as this may be, I'd talk to him about it again. And then, if there is no resolution, I'd consider moving on. You deserve someone who thinks you are the best woman on earth, not some distant ex from his high school years. Good luck, OP, and big hugs. This sucks balls. I was insecure about my boyfriend's relationship with his ex from the start. They didn't talk that often, but they'd catch up once every few months through Skype or something. She lives on the East Coast, and when Hurricane Sandy hit, he called her, texted her, and messaged her on Skype, despite her having cut off contact with him prior to that. I didn't even know he still had her phone number. Is this relationship hopeless? I knew he still had a bit of a thing for her, but I didn't know the extent of it until now. If he can't move on after all this time, I don't understand why he got into a relationship with me. Sounds to me like he's still in love with her. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he was probably holding out some hope of getting back with her, and now it's crushed since she's getting married. I don't know a lot about what went on during their relationship. It's a touchy subject with him. I know that it's not uncommon for people to never forget their first loves, but I can't understand this. From what I understand, she was really mean to him at the end. She blocked him from everything for like 6+ months after they broke up, and afterwards they seemed to have a normal friendship. One time I got really insecure and looked at their chat logs, but there was absolutely nothing weird in it. It was totally platonic. Now for the first update. It's over, I think. I called my dad and asked him to help me move back home. These last 2 days have been really emotional. My boyfriend was gone all day yesterday. He was gone when I woke up. That's fine. I assumed he went to work early, but he still wasn't home when I went to bed. I texted him once when I woke up to say good morning, and twice at night. Once asking if he was coming home for dinner, and another asking if he was all right. I also tried calling his cell, but he didn't pick up. I thought that I deserved some answers, so I decided to snoop. Something I've only done once before, when I was feeling insecure about his relationship with his ex. Well, on his laptop, hidden in a bunch of subfolders, was a Word document with his ex's name. I read it, and I'm assuming he just saved the last conversation he had with her, right before she cut contact with him. It started out normally, but then he asked how her relationship with her now fiancé was going. She said that it was good, and that she was happy. And then it got weird, because he said something like, "Really? Are you sure?" She said yes and told him that was a weird question, and he said, "I don't know. I don't believe that you're that happy." I don't remember everything exactly because my head was spinning, but he basically told her that her fiancé, then boyfriend, would never treat her as well as he did, and that they'd known each other X number of years and managed to stay friends after their breakup, that they'd helped each other grow as people, and that she should really give him another chance. He said that he'd waited for her all these years, and that he loves her and always believed they'd wind up together. This was all while he was with me. She called him an a-hole and told him that he had a lot of nerve saying all that to her, when she told him a long time ago that they're only ever going to be friends, and that he's an even bigger a-hole for doing this while they were both in relationships. She told him to go to hell and to break up with me for my sake because I deserve better. That's not even the worst part. My boyfriend woke me up this morning by calling my cell and telling me to come to the kitchen. He said he made breakfast. So I go to the kitchen, getting ready for a fight. He and I never fight, but I am so goddamned hurt. And he made what honestly looked like an amazing breakfast, with a ring box in the middle of the table. He told me to open it. I did. He said something like, "These last 3 years with you have been an adventure, and I hope to keep making new adventures with you." I guess around this time, I snapped out of whatever haze I'd been in and exploded. I demanded to know where he was all day yesterday, why he wouldn't contact me, why he's been crying over his ex for the last 3 months, everything. He got mad at me for being mad. He told me that I should be happy because he was proposing, and wasn't that what I wanted? I asked him why, when it's so obvious that he'd rather be with his ex. He told me that she's obviously moved on, so it's time for him to move on too. I've never been so angry in my life. I've been so incredibly patient with this man and done my best to be understanding of his situation. I've literally given him all that I had, but I'm not going to get married to him just to be his consolation prize. It's so ironic because had he proposed 4+ months earlier, I would have been ecstatic. Now it just broke our relationship. So yeah, I called my dad, crying, and he's on his way to help me move back in with him and my mom. That's it. I'm a wreck, but I think it's just because everything wrong and twisted in this relationship is hitting me, and it took so long for me to understand. And my ex is just sitting on the couch with his laptop. Thank you guys so much for helping me see how unfair this whole relationship was. I read every one of your comments, even if I didn't get a chance to respond to them all. You are doing the right thing. Have a happy future. Thank you. I'm having a hard time taking everything in right now, so I can't even begin to think about what's coming. But I know it has to be better than this. You absolutely made the right choice to end this. He only proposed to you to make his ex-girlfriend jealous. His proposal was just a reaction to hers, and likely some stupid, desperate gambit he made in the hopes that she'd come running back afterwards. And you know what? You deserve far better than what this emotional moron has given you. You should never, ever settle for a man who doesn't completely and fully love and respect you. You are no man's second choice. Dump him, go no contact, and move on with your life. Let him spend the rest of his life screwing up one good relationship after another, mooning over his perfect girl. You are going to hold your head up high, heal on your own time, and then go on to find another man who loves you as much as you deserve. You're so young. You have plenty of time to still discover yourself. And next time you see a boyfriend or dating partner moon over an ex, get the heck out of there pronto. There is no winning against the phantom perfect ex that haunts indecisive, emotionally immature, and unavailable people. And seriously, forget him for trying to make you feel bad about not wanting to stay in a crappy relationship where you're second fiddle to his freaking high school girlfriend. Forget that loser. Here's to him getting the miserable romantic life he deserves. Thanks so much for your words of encouragement. I'm on my way home as I type this. And honestly, the further away that I am from him, the better I'm feeling. As I was getting the last of my stuff, my ex told me that I'm going to regret this. I don't know if he was always a jerk and I didn't see it, or what. Second update. First, I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post. I really took your comments to heart, and all of the support means the world to me. I took a break from Reddit but logged in today to find a few PMs asking for another update. So here goes. My ex more or less went crazy after I moved back home. I blocked him from essentially everything, changed all my passwords, and deactivated my Facebook. So he had no way of reaching me aside from literally driving to my parents' house to see me. Apparently, he started sending messages to my friends, some of whom are mutual friends, asking to use their Skype accounts to talk to me. He told them that I stole some things from him when I moved out and that he wanted them back. I got a few phone calls from my friends asking me about this. They told me they knew I didn't steal anything from him because that's not like me at all, but they wanted to know why he was so desperate to contact me. I wasn't ready to tell the whole story. Honestly, I didn't think anyone would believe me. So I told them I didn't know what was going on, but asked them not to give him their Skype accounts under any circumstances. A few days after that, the phone calls started, all from different numbers I didn't recognize. I didn't pick any of them up, but one day I had about 20 missed calls from one number, then another 20 plus from a different number. I had to set my phone to only allow calls from specific contacts. Everything else would go straight to voicemail. Even if he couldn't reach me, he succeeded in making me feel pretty isolated. After the 5th day of the phone calls, I broke down and told my mom everything that happened. She didn't say much, she mostly let me talk. Afterwards, she told me that I made the right decision, but that there's absolutely no reason why I should be going through this alone. She said she didn't want to push me to talk until I was ready, but that the best thing I could do now is spend time with people who love and support me. So after going with me to get my phone number changed, she encouraged me to start calling my friends and telling them what happened, and to just hang out with them more in general. I had it stuck in my head that everyone would side with my ex and tell me I made a terrible mistake, that his intentions were good, and I blew things out of proportion by insinuating that he only proposed because his ex got engaged. But I was actually overwhelmed by my friends' responses. Apparently, my ex had been telling everyone that we broke up because I had major jealousy issues over his ex, but once they heard my side of the story, I was shocked by how many of them said it made sense. They all told me I'd done the right thing and that they'd back me up no matter what. I felt this huge sense of relief and have been making an effort to go out more. I'll be honest though, there are times where I wonder if I was wrong. Sometimes I think maybe my ex was just grieving his old relationship and proposing was his way of starting over. Sometimes I think I turned down the only marriage proposal I'll ever get. And sometimes I think maybe I should have accepted because I loved him, and you don't often find people you truly love. But then, on the days I'm feeling wiser, I remind myself of how bizarre our last few weeks together were. How I always knew deep down I was second best to him, and how he's been behaving since we broke up. I've never seen him so unstable. He was always so calm and logical, so this is completely new to me. I know deep down that I did the right thing, but sometimes what you know in your head and what you feel in your heart are two completely different things. So that's basically it. I'm just going through the motions, and I'm going to make an appointment with a therapist. I wish I had something more profound to update you all with, some added wisdom, but I don't. My best advice to anyone going through something similar is what my mom told me. Surround yourself with people who love and support you. OP, thank you for the update. I wish you the very best. You made the right decision. The next few weeks it'll start to slowly hit you in waves. Be brave. You can get through this. You'll be much better at the end of it. Please do not make compromises about your needs. You deserve the very best person for you. Right. The withdrawal is the worst part of ending a long-term relationship. But in the long run, it'll go away and you'll be glad you didn't marry this guy. There is nothing sincere about his proposal if he's going to propose one day and lie to your friends on the next. Just imagine what would have happened if you accepted. Sure, it will be romantic for a couple months or a year, but ultimately you would get stuck with this guy for the rest of your life. You are too good for him, and he has some serious issues that he needs to sort out in therapy. You are not his tool. He does not get to use you as a way of getting back at his ex-girlfriend. Remember always that asses are not marriage material. There will be another man, a good man, who congratulates himself for finding a smart, sensible girl like you. He will build a home with you because he wants to, because he loves you, and not because he needs to reassure himself in his attractiveness. Now for the final update. Hello Reddit. I just wanted to update you guys on some things that have happened. I also want to apologize for not responding to any of the comments on my last post. I wasn't in a great place at the time and wasn't feeling up to it. But I did read every one of your responses, and I truly appreciate those who took the time to comment. First, my ex mailed me the engagement ring he bought shortly after my last update. I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't sure if the ring was what he'd been claiming I stole. I also felt weird about mailing it back, because what if he claimed he never got it? So my dad volunteered to personally deliver the ring back to him. I don't know if anything was said when my dad brought it back, and I never asked. Second, I heard from some friends that 2 weeks ago, my ex bought a ticket and flew to NYC to try to talk to his ex. Somehow he found out the name of the company she works for, looked up the location, and waited in front of the building all day. I have no idea what happened, but apparently there are no signs of her coming back, so I'm assuming it didn't go very well. I can't believe he did that, and I can't believe I dated someone that obsessed for 3 years. But I suppose it helps every time I hear about something like this, because it reinforces the fact that I did the right thing. I met with 2 therapists. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. Every time I said something, he'd ask, "And how do you feel about that?" No feedback or suggestions whatsoever. At the end, he suggested that I was depressed and might want to consider a few different medications. I don't intend to see him again. I met the second one last week though, and I liked her a lot. She told me she doesn't think I need to see her regularly, but to feel free to make appointments whenever I'm feeling especially down or stressed. So I think I'll do that. A few people asked why I wanted to see a therapist in my last post since I seem to be doing the right things. Well, the problem was that, even though I knew I was doing the right thing, I didn't necessarily feel that it was right. I still doubted myself, and I felt like a different person than I used to be. Prior to all this, I was always optimistic and generally happy. I always tried to make the best of things. But at the time of my last post, I felt down, and even though I was making an effort to see friends, I wasn't really enjoying it. Anyway, this brings me to where I am now. I started a paid internship with a chance of getting hired full-time almost a month ago, and I love it. I love the people, the work itself, and the fact that I'm getting back into a routine. And I'm a little embarrassed to say that I'm attracted to the guy who hired me. He's about my age. There's nothing going on, and I'm definitely not ready or willing to be in a relationship. It's simply the fact that he's the nicest, best-mannered person I've ever met. He's always positive, polite, and smiling, so it's impossible not to be in a good mood around him. So it's not that I think my next relationship should be with him or that I have feelings for him. It's just that I've realized the type of person I should be looking for is someone who makes me feel good just by being around them. I don't give much thought to my ex anymore. It's amazing how much life changes over the course of a few months, but I think everything is turning out for the best. Last story. My husband cheated in our home, filmed it, and I found the videos. I was with my partner for 12 years, 6 years dating, 6 years married. I thought our relationship was going well, aside from the usual small disagreements that every couple has. We had even started planning to have a child, something we had postponed due to our careers. Then one random day, I found videos on his computer, videos of him in our home, in our bed, with escorts. My whole world shattered in an instant. Whenever I was away for work trips or visiting my family, He was bringing escorts into our house and filming everything. He admitted to doing this for the past 2 years, which probably means it's been even longer. He never once discussed any issues with me. Instead, he lived a parallel life behind my back. On top of everything, we were actively trying for a child, and he never even considered the risk of exposing me to STDs. I was lucky to test negative, but the sheer disregard for my health and trust is something I can't process. When I confronted him, he said he has a porn addiction and that our relationship wasn't enough for him. But he never once talked to me about this. He just made the decision to go behind my back for years. What makes this even harder is that it's not just me who was blindsided. My entire family and all of our mutual friends were just as shocked. He hid this part of himself so well that no one suspected a thing. He acted like the perfect husband, the perfect friend, the perfect son-in-law, all while leading a completely separate life behind closed doors. We got divorced immediately. I left everything behind. It's over. But my anger hasn't faded. The images of those videos are burned into my mind. I try to distract myself to move on, but I don't know how to erase these memories from my head. If you've been through something similar, how do you let go of something like this? My ex did this, but didn't bring anyone to our house, thank God. Together 10 years, not married because neither of us wanted to be, and thank God for that too. He started a new nerdy hobby that got him out of the house a lot more. He guarded his phone more and even changed his wallpaper from me and our dog to just the dog. Not odd, mine is the same. But it was when I absent-mindedly used his phone and auto-brain to texts that I saw 400 for FS at X location. Left him and took my dog. It's hard to start over, especially at my age 33, but I'm happy. I'm back at my parents' with my dog, and now I'm a carer for my mom. Last I heard from him was that I ruined his life, and his parents wouldn't take him back, so he had to move into a share house, which is funny because he went from living at his parents to living with me, and we had been living together 8 years. He was so used to me doing every little thing that now without me, his life was over lol. It gets better, and thank your lucky stars you didn't have kids, because that stress of having to keep kids in touch with dad and shared custody would have been a living nightmare until the kid was 18. Trust me, it's for the better. Thanks for your support and for sharing your story. It really feels difficult to start over. I moved to another city and found a new job. I couldn't even bear to be in the same city as him. The things he did really make me sick. As you said, not having a child was the first thing I thought about when I learned about his affair. Thank God. It feels good to hear from you that it gets better.